Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and good night, wherever you may be and however you may be watching. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And we have another deck tech here for Minion Masters. Now, this deck I have named Raging Spirit. There's definitely some options to get more spirit into this deck, but this one gives me a nice balance between creatures, spirit. It has some control elements, and just overall, I think it's really good. I've played this, and the matches we're going to watch are going to be in duos, just random duos, not pre-made, just random folks that queue up in the duo queue. But I have selected the Master of King Puff, and the reason for that is the buff that King Puff gives for minions costing 4 or 5. As you can see, we've got quite a few minions that are in the 4 and 5 range, and giving them rage or shield is actually a really good thing for this because it keeps them alive. But let's take a look at what we have here as far as our spirit for the raging spirit part. We do have the spirit, the vessel, which is just a basic skeleton, dies really easy, but when it dies, it does give a minion on the battlefield spirit. So that gives us some of that spirit power that we're looking for. We do have the plasma marines for ranged killing. We also have the chain lightning for stunning things, but also killing a big group, a little zoo group of the scratch or the little dudes out there, or even the dragons that fly in the air. Because again, we only have one dude, one cheap guy that can take care of the air. So having the chain lightning there is really nice. You won't see Ghost being used a whole lot in the matches that we play. Actually, I don't think I cast it once in the 3 matches that we're going to look at. But the Ghost is really nice. We are seeing an increase, I guess, from the last season. I'm seeing a bigger increase of Colossus and more specifically the statues and some of the elements. So the Ghost is really nice for that. If you can time it properly, you can take over one of their dudes and really kind of turn the tables on the battlefield. So this is a card that I've liked pretty much since I saw it the first time. The Swarmer King, very cool. He comes in, does an AoE damage that does a 50 damage to everything, knocks everything back. So you're able to knock out some of those zoos or knock things away from some of your range guys like the Succubus or the Annihilator. You can get those knocked away, especially when you're fighting with a team member. If their front line gets taken out and they only have their range dudes, you can drop the Swarmer King in, and he's going to knock those guys around and also take out the little dudes. Also, when he dies, he does another AoE and spawns 2 more Swarmers. So again, another way to keep minions coming out on the battlefield. We've got the ever popular Stun Lancers again to help us take care of those big guys, finish out the game by stunning out their masters, so they can't do anything. So another great item there. We do have the Ragers. Now, the reason we have the Ragers is because King Puff gives us the ability in his perks to give minions rage. Not to mention, we've got that. We have, maybe our partner has options to have rage as well. But when minions have, but the big thing with these guys is you get 2 really, I mean, they're decently health, right? 225 hit points. They do okay damage. But the big thing is they have Voidborn Wound, which is when Morgul Ragers are summoned, all friendly minions get rage. So there are many cards that go off of rage and utilize rage to give you other abilities. So having these guys in here allows us then to help our teammate go with rage. Also gives you the option, if you don't have some of the cards that I have in this deck, or you want to kind of make some more ragey fun, if you will, you can utilize these guys to kind of empower some of your rage. But again, you want to make sure the majority of your cards are in that 4 and 5 range, so you can utilize the King Puff ability as well. Shadow Whelp, again, Voidborn. We're going to notice we have Voidborn, we have Voidborn, we had Voidborn, and there is a reason for that, and we'll get to that in a minute. But this is a really cool, I really like this card. It is a little expensive, but if you give it rage or it has shield, it's got the, it's an invisible dragon that does triple damage when it comes out of invis. So it has the ability to knock off some of those really annoying land units right off the bat, even if it's like a succubus or something like that, that normally would kill it. It has the ability to come out of the invisibility, triple damage, kill something. Our other spirit pusher is the Spirit Mancer, which I absolutely love. In fact, I've got a deck I don't believe I've shown yet on YouTube that I really enjoy my solo play and duos. And it's based around 2 Spirit Mancers, so that's a really cool deck that we'll look at probably in the next couple weeks or so. But again, this guy's really awesome. He takes out little guys pretty easily, and every time something dies that he's zapping, again, it has to be zapping. He doesn't necessarily have to give the killing blow, but if it dies while he's zapping it, it gives a random minion spirit on there. He's also great if you're trying to run an essence deck, because again, he also gives the essence, but we're not in this case, but really awesome. Now, why are we running so many Voidborn? Well, because we are running Grackle. The Doom Cleaver here is a really awesome dude. I really enjoy him. Again, I wish he was a little cheaper, but I understand why he's not, because as you'll see in these matches, if he gets killing blows or is hitting the Master Tower, he reduces the cost of another Voidborn in your hand, not in your deck, but in your hand. So I really, really like this because he has the option to make our Swarmer King cheaper. He has the option to make our Ragers cheaper and our Whelp cheaper. So you'll see in a couple of these matches, you'll see how he kind of plays into this to allow us to continue to push out minions cheaper and more powerful. So here's the deck. Again, there are definitely some changes that you could make to maybe fit your playstyle a little bit better. But in random duos, this deck has been really, really awesome. I haven't even need to use the puff ability too much to swap the bridges around too much again. And these matches will be played in the gold range. That's where we are in the random duos. So as we get closer and closer to Grandmaster throughout the season, we'll see how this deck can compare. We might revisit it a little bit later, but here it is. And I hope you enjoy the next couple matches. All right, so these matches do run a little bit longer than some of the other matches that you've seen on the channel. Again, our minion costs are a little bit higher. We don't have a lot of cheap stuff, and it also depends, since we are doing randoms, it also depends on what our partner is running to determine stuff. As you can see on his deck, he is running some big things like the Harbinger and the Brothers and the Death Ray. So he definitely has some higher power stuff there. Okay, so right off the bat, we've got a Swarmer King in there. He's not going to do a whole lot, but he is going to get in there, kind of push some stuff back. But on the top side, our partner is using the Brothers, so that was a really good piece here. Now, the big thing that I'm trying to focus on here is bridge control, and the reason for that is because we want to unlock the ability to have King Puff's rage and shield options, which is our King buff, which is our number 2 perk. So that's really what we want to get here. The bridge shield is really nice on the perk 3, but really the big thing for our deck, again, because we're focused around those 4 and 5 mana cost creatures, we want to get to King buff as fast as possible. And again, also keeping them, we are obviously have already seen one Brutus come out. We want to keep them away from Brutus and also obviously the dragon, because we don't want to see the dragon at all. So here's where you can start to see that spirit coming into play. We've got our partner's guardian here with spirit. We also have the Harbinger with spirit, increasing those hit points by 200, making them a lot harder to kill. So this Spirit Mancer is just going to kind of sit behind this Guardian here and just keep spiriting up the entire battlefield. And the nice part is when you're going against enemies who are casting a lot of little creatures, this Spirit Mancer can kind of get lost in the backfield and just do work and just put spirit on your entire field. Now, they had a resurrecting skeleton right there. Thankfully, the Harbinger was able to take it out, and we were able to continue on with our Spirit Mancer here. Now, we've got the Doom Cleaver in. As you can see, he's got a kill already, so our Swarmer King is now dropped to 3, and now he just got another kill to a 2. Again, when your opponent is dropping all those cheap minions in their base, if that Doom Cleaver can get a couple of them dead, you can get some pretty cheap big boys out. We got the Swarmer out for 2. Now we're reducing the cost on the Shadow Whelp with him in there, and he's still going to town. He is dead, but we did get our Shadow Whelp dropped to to 3 mana. Now, one thing you also need to be careful with using Doom Cleaver and this is the adjustment of mana will take the creatures out of King buff range. The King buff does not go off of the creature's original mana cost. It goes off the creature's current mana cost. So you want to make sure you're being very careful in using your creatures and Doom Cleaver at the right time. If you're just trying to push a whole bunch of minions in to maybe finish off the match, it doesn't necessarily matter if they've got King buff or not. But in the mid game, in the grindy part of the game, you want to make sure you're utilizing that King buff as much as you can. So utilizing that Doom Cleaver might not necessarily be what you want to do and taking those creatures out of the rage or out of the shield. But it's based on situation. You know, if you need to push out a whole bunch of creatures, get that Doom Cleaver out there, let him do some work, get your dudes cheaper, and move on. We've got the Swarmer King up top. We've got Brutus coming down in the bottom. Now, one thing, again, that I'm trying to do is keeping the spirit going throughout the entire match. So every time I've got a creature that I can get in place to drop some spirit, may it be the skeleton or maybe it be the spirit mancer, I want to get that out there to try to keep as many minions on the battlefield buffed with as much hit points as possible. We finish off there with the death ray, and we were already at perk 3, but overall a really easy game. We didn't really have too much pressure, so let's take a look at the next game. All right, for this next game, our opponent does have some cheaper minions here, which is nice. We can they can definitely do some spamming that we that can kind of supports us, and we can buff their guys with the spirit. The nice part about spirit decks is we can kind of support or benefit any other deck. Now I'll show you here at the bottom, I believe. Right there. Now, I was a little slow on that. You'll probably see my little emote come up. There's the little sad puffy emote. I was a little slow getting the mana for the Swarmer King, or we probably could have saved that sniper. But that is one of those instances where, again, you've got a nice ranged minion on your partner's field, and you want to make sure it's saved. You can use that Swarmer King to push back the opponent's minion and keep that ranged unit alive. Like I said, unfortunately, we were just a split second too slow on our mana to get that down and save the sniper. And here we can see at the bottom, the Ragers have enraged that Scrat Cannon, which is going to be really nice, doing some damage. But also, obviously, with them having rage, they can do a lot of damage as well. So, nice little push on the bottom lane, while the top lane has the building summoner of the archers, and also a nice little legion there. Now, the cool part is we did force them to go ahead and use their giant, meteor storm right on top of themselves. If you can force your opponent to use that meteor storm to clear off your massive push, but also right on top of their tower, it does damage to their tower and their minions. So even if they wipe out like they saw there, with our entire force in there, they did some damage to themselves while our minions were still alive, doing more damage to them. And we were able to reload pretty quickly. Now we got Grackle back in here again. We're pushed pretty hard, so I'm just going for as many minions getting out there as possible. And so making the whelp there cheaper gives us some good options. Now, I'm trying to keep this sniper at the bottom alive as long as possible. Unfortunately, since they have the archer as one of their masters, it's a little more challenging because he can pretty much hit everything on the battlefield. So there's not really any pushback or anything like that we can do to save his sniper, but I really like to save the snipers as much as we can, just because they do high damage at a long range, so very nice to have. Now here we have the Swarmer King. He came out with rage because of the King buff, and his mana points weren't reduced, so that's really nice. He got in there, got some stuff cleared out for us. We're doing pretty good on bridge control. We're already halfway through our third perk. Again, like I said during the last match, we do focus a lot on bridge control here, because we want to get that King buff. We want to get our buffs as fast as possible, especially in a match where we've got a Morelia as our partner, because we want to get her dragon unlocked again, just to close out any sort of long games. Since I noticed with this deck that the games do go a little bit longer since we do have more of a support structure and we don't have a whole lot of the, wham bam, thank you ma'am, cards in there. We've just got a lot of support stuff, and we just kind of constantly push mid-rangey style game. Unlocking that third perk to get the big boy dragon in place is actually really nice. So again, we've got Grackle coming down. We've got our Whelp that can be cheap, and it's going to become cheaper because, well, they just put a whole bunch of little dudes in play. Now, if I summoned him right now, we would get the shield, but I do want to make him a little bit cheaper since we have a lot of a big push on our side. I would rather get more minions in there. Now, again, what we just did there was we just pushed them to cast their Meteor Storm right on top of themselves. So again, another good advantage point of getting a whole bunch of minions in there, doing some damages. They're going to cast that Meteor Storm to clear off their battlefield, but also do damage themselves. They're down to 71 hit points, and we're still above 2,000. So looking really good for the home team here. There comes the dragon, and now it's just a matter of time of pushing things through and getting this dragon in range. All she's going to have to do is breathe once here, and it is over. So another great game, showing the mid-range capability, focusing on the bridge, getting Spirit out as much as we can, and we've got one more game to look at. All right, so I just took a look at the times on these three matches. We are averaging right around about 4 minutes, 10 is kind of our average on this. They're not incredibly long games, but they are, they're definitely some grindy games, mid-rangey games. Focus on that bridge control. Focus on putting your opponent in bad positions where they have to use those meteor strikes and stuff like that on themselves. Now, I did get a Grackle out early just because based on what the opponent was doing, but we are going to get some slaps in here on their base with Grackle. We're going to reduce the cost of the Swarmer King down there, which is really nice because we've got a swarm coming up top, which I don't think I play up there because of the chain lightning. I was going to try to get him close to the bridge and then drop him right there, but we do take the bottom bridge. And with bridge control here, they took the first perk just because we allowed them to cross both bridges there just a few seconds ago. But when it comes to a Puff battle versus Volko battle, we have abilities which are based on bridge control. And there are many mid-range grindy games that, like to go over 4, 5, 6 minutes where Volko can just win the game. Even if it's a stalemate across the middle, if you can take the bridge with his hammer, you can just slowly baby fireball kill them that way, just summoning a whole bunch of minions. It's a great strategy utilizing Volko. So we really have to be careful, again, making sure that we're keeping the bridge that has his hammer here. So you will notice throughout this game, I am going to be looking at that bottom lane down there quite a bit because you just saw he got a fireball in there. If we allow this to go unchecked for too long, he can just take over the game, even though they are quite a bit lower than us at 1,000 hit points. We're at 2,700 hit points. He can really even the odds pretty quickly if we're not careful. So, again, I will put a lot of focus on this bottom bridge to make sure that hammer stays in our control and not in his. We've got another Grackle coming down. We don't have any Voidborn right now to cheapen, but he definitely pulls some attention from them and allows us to wipe out a couple of their dudes. Unfortunately, I was hoping my partner was going to summon the minion a little sooner, which is why I put the skeleton down. I was hoping to buff the skeleton, as I knew the Grackle wasn't going to live long enough. But yeah, I was really hoping he was going to get a minion down quickly, but he delayed a little bit on that, which is fine. It's kind of what you get into when you're dealing with random matchmaking. You never know what they're going to do. If you're doing pre-mades, you've got a little team that you kind of know what you're doing all the time, or you're on voice comms. It makes it a lot easier to kind of plan those things out. But the randomness of the random queue is always a lot of fun. You get to learn a lot of things. So we've got Grackle up top against the statue. There was an option here that I could drop the ghost into the statue. I was going to see how well the Grackle took it down, and actually the Grackle plus the archer is taking it down quite well, so there was no need to ghost there, but that would have been also a pretty good time to ghost if you had something to take out the succubus. With the succubus being so close to the statue, there's no chance that ghost is going to live. So they're down to 325 hit points. We're still above 2,000, so things are looking pretty good for the home team here. We have taken a couple shots from that fireball, but in general, I'm thinking at this point, Volko's hand, he's got a lot of creatures that are expensive because, he's had the bridge control down there for a while, and I have yet to see the massive just fireball spams of someone who doesn't have that many minions. Now, we talked about during the deck construction here, utilizing the chain lightning to not only stun and take out their minions, but also to stun their tower, which we used there at the end. We had the brothers in there, we had Grackle in there, we've got a lot of stuff in there. Again, 4 minutes and 14 minutes, great match. So let's go back and look at the deck. So overall, a really fun deck to play. Like I said, we were fighting in the gold range, the upper gold tier of matches as I'm climbing through the ranks on my different solos, randos and stuff like that. But a lot of fun. Definitely some changes that you could make to maybe fit better your play style. But again, the concept of this this deck is utilizing King Puff's buff for the 4 and 5 mana cost creatures, Grackle to reduce the mana cost of our other Voidborn, and utilizing Spirit Mancer and the Spirit Visage to buff anything and everything on the battlefield, giving them that 200 hit points more. So that is what we're trying to do here. Guys, I also wanted to call out, I haven't really called this out on a video yet, but we do have a guild. I haven't been streaming a whole lot. I'm hoping to get some streams in coming up. I've been super busy with life, trying to get back into the gym and trying to get myself healthy. But we do have a guild here. It is called the Game Legion, which is my stream team. Game Legion right there. We do only, as you can see, have a couple members. There are a couple of my community members from the stream, the Twitch stream, twitch.tv/DavramTV. Many of them haven't been playing a whole lot because they usually only played when I was streaming. But if you guys would like to join the guild, find Game Legion, find the Game Legion on the guild search. By all means, join. I try to play each and every week for the videos that we're putting out, but we can definitely get some really cool perks down here. If we get some more folks that want to help progress through, you can get everything from skins, if we can get up to tier 3, to legendary cards, supreme cards, everything under the sun we can get if you guys would like to join. So again, check out Game Legion in the guild search function. I believe you can do United States. If you can, I believe it's this. So if you do Game Legion search on the United States, I'm pretty sure that's how we can do it. There you go. So search Game Legion with the region United States. Go ahead and request the join, and I will add you as soon as I see it come in. But I hope you guys have a lot of fun with this video. If you do, click that like. If you really like it, hit the subscribe button and turn the notifications on. I really appreciate your support for watching my videos. Also, if you would like to support the broadcast more so, you can check out our Patreon at patreon.com/DavramGaming. I've got several tiers there if you would like to financially contribute to the broadcast. Again, not required. We also just recently relaunched the Double D podcast. You can find that on iTunes, you can find that on Spotify, you can find that on Google Play, as well as right here on the channel if you'd like to see my awful face during the podcast. But thank you very much, guys. Take care of yourselves and each other. We'll see you next time in the arena.